Hello, my name is Stacy Skolton, Adeyemo, and this is my MIT 812 Summer 2013 final project, using multimedia tools for a unit project. Because there are so many resources, what I wanted to do was incorporate some of the many resources that we talked about this summer and some that we did not talk about into one great big project. So for my INT 430 class, basically, each year my students have to work in groups to make a business plan. They have to do a written business plan, and then they also have to present the plan in class using presentation software applications. Usually the presentations have to be interactive, and the students basically have to pretend like they are presenting their business plans to actual lenders. And so the students have to make sure that they are very professional looking presentations. In the past, what I've done is I've just given them the outline. This is the outline. So I've given them this outline and just basically let them go. I put them into groups and, I would each time explain to them exactly what needs to be done and try to give them an idea of this. But really, they were on their own. And so this time, what I wanted to do is I really wanted to utilize something that wasn't just, here's the plan, this is what I expect of you, but I really wanted to show them how to do this and give them the tools so that they could come up with a really awesome business plan. This is where this class came in to play. Basically, what I first did is I showed the students a video that I made, um, which kind of helped them to know what exactly was expected. I used Screencast-O-Matic to do this. And here's just a real quick view of what I did. Nervous. Well, this PowerPoint should help you with just some of the things that you can start thinking about to make sure that you have a very successful business plan. The first thing you want to do is talk about what your plan is. What are you planning on doing? Are you going to be selling the product idea to a business or a corporation? So this basically I put on their website. I gave them this so that if they needed it, they could use it. What are the benefits of using this product? So like I said, I went through each of the things. I kind of went through a description of each of them. Why do people need your product? And how is your product a solution to the customer's needs? Is there a recession, a depression? Maybe there's a surplus. Or maybe the economy isn't stable. Who is your competition? You need to do a lot of research for this. Think about the businesses that are in your area that have similar products. From doing what you're doing. And how will you stay? And don't forget, using the internet is a huge, huge bonus. So this was my Screencast-O-Matic presentation that I had done for the students. As you see, I gave them all of the things that they needed to do and include and just some ideas. And then using this product, this plan, I decided to give them each week a different multimedia tool that they could use to make their final project even better. I also made sure to give them a rubric so that they would know exactly what was expected of them. In order to make this rubric, I used rubystar.com. It's actually rubystar.forteachers.org. It's a great website that can really help you to make a rubric that the students can use. And it helps you think of things that maybe you wouldn't have thought about before. Also to help support the students, I am going to introduce them to Evernote.com and Dropbox.com, which will basically give them some upfront resources that will help jumpstart jumpstart their research endeavor. This is just evernote.com, and it helps you to basically find things real quickly. I could put on this website some of the resources, some of the papers that I handed out, that presentation that I made using Screencast-O-Matic, and um, anything else that I feel would support the students in their learning. In order to have a good project, I think collaboration is extremely important. Um, because this is such a big project, students are expected to work in groups to accomplish the project. One thing that I thought would be really, really useful would be to create wiki boards basically for each group so that the students can show off what they're doing, and they can also get feedback from the teachers and from their fellow students. In order to do this, I created basically a wiki space or wiki board in wikispaces.com. Um, and you can see you just start out with basically what each wiki space is. It gives you the getting started. And then each group, you'll notice each group has its own homepage. So uh, as they went through the project, they could change their wiki page, make sure they made updates or whatever. But then we also had some other things. For instance, I did some brainstorms just on helping them on how to brainstorm for this. I made sure, even though I have them all on Evernote, I also made sure to use all the documents that I would use during the course just so it would be all in one place for them to have it. Um, Even included a calendar so that they could use that. So I feel like this wiki space is going to be very helpful for the students because they can actually kind of get an idea of what is needed, and they can also get my feedback. I can look at it, see what progress they're doing. Also, their professor that is in America can look at it and see what they're doing and how things are coming along. Also, they don't have to be in the same place at the same time. If for some reason one person can't meet, they can get on here and look at it later and make any changes they want to. So I think Wikispaces will be really helpful in finishing this project. In order to keep the students focused, and part of their grade is a participation grade. So I have to, when they're meeting in classes, kind of go around and check to make sure that they're meeting. One way that I can kind of keep track of this and do it in an easy way is to use classdojo.com. So teach.classdojo.com will help me to record who's paying attention, who's actually really, really involved, and who's maybe not as involved. It can help me to then, at the end, when I'm giving out final grades for participation, I can really look at it and say, oh, this person was participating or they were not. So those are my two things that will help me in collaborating in the students' collaboration. One of the things the students need to do is market research. Students will really want to research whether their product will be effective and whether it will be well received. Usually students must do surveys and or interviews to gain this information. So I thought they could use surveymonkey.com or some other site that will help them to get anonymous information and have the information that's tabulated for them. The information that they gain could be shown using graphs or a chart maker. One of the examples of this would be piecolor.com. So as I suggested earlier, students could use surveymonkey.com to just collect information, and it also will help them to analyze that information. And it's easily tabulated. Instead of them having to make papers, create papers, and our university is definitely trying to go paperless. This is one way to make it paperless, and the students don't have to do as much work in trying to figure out that information. Another way they could visually show it would be using like piecolor.com. This site shows really cool ways that you can make graphs. In this case, a pie chart, but it will work really effectively for the students. I believe they can make graphs. They can show the information that they've gained from their surveys. Students must also include an organizational summary within this project. Students have to show how the business will be organized, who's going to be the leader, how much money they're going to make, and so forth. So I thought about using lovelycharts.com for this. There's other sites, but this one I think is a pretty useful site that students could take and use to make those charts and make it visually appealing for the students. They could also make flowcharts of any of the systems that they need, or exactly how the products will work. As you see, Lovely Charts is a diagramming application. Basically, the students can create very professional looking diagrams. They can do flowcharts, site maps, business processes, organizational charts, wireframes, and many more, as it says. It's very effective, and the students will really like using it, and it's very user friendly. Another thing the students have to include in this project is a timeline. The timeline has to show their projected financial gains and their goals for the years to come. They can use a timeline maker application to do this because then their information is shown in a very visually appealing way. The site that I would have the students use or suggest the students to use for making a timeline would be timetoast.com. It's very user friendly, the students can get around it, and it's free, which is always a good thing. Students can create timelines that for a couple of months, a couple of years, even just for a couple of days. So finally, the students have to present what they've actually learned and what their business plan is. The students will use presentation software to make a real-world presentation on what they've learned. They can include any of the applications that they've used in the project, and they can include much more than just that. Prezi.com is a really great way for the students to make those presentations. It doesn't just use the presentations where you click through different slides, but you can actually use it to present it in more of a timeline kind of way, and going from here to there is just more visually appealing. So I will let the students use this if they prefer it, and it is also user friendly. In finalizing their presentations, their project, the students can use a lot of other tools. They could use infographics, which will show the data in a very visually appealing way. They can make a photo collage of the product or any other photo collages that they would like to do, including graphics, anything that they would like to present or put into their business plan. And they may want to create a commercial that advertises their product, or they could use animation or movie making software in some way to highlight their product. For the infographic portions of this, I would suggest the students use a site such as visual.ly, and it just helps to show the information, and not just in your list way, not just a single list or whatever, but it's very, like I've said before, visually appealing. In order to produce photo collages or work on some photo editing or photo editing such as cropping it, making the picture darker or lighter, changing the pixels, making it black and white, sepia, whatever you want. The students could use photovisi.com or some other photo collage or photo editing site. And finally, the students can do an animation. As you've seen some of my animations that I've made from goanimate.com, they could use any animation site, but I would suggest them trying to make a video that might help sell their product or whatever. It just makes their presentation more interesting. And especially when we're talking about business plans, the point is to try and make it as interesting as possible so that people will want to buy their product. Just some of my final thoughts. There are so many tools to utilize, and one thing that I've learned from this class is that it's best to introduce one thing at a time. That way, the projects can be more effective and the students will be more interested in the outcome. As you give them more ideas, they'll really become more interested in it.